this question from the 2020 Fermat Contest. Suppose that x and y are real numbers with x between -4 and -2 inclusive, and then y is between 2 and 4 inclusive. The greatest possible value of x plus y divided by x is what? Okay, so taking a look at this question, so the greatest possible value of this is so I think intuitively we want to, if we have a fraction, right? And we have a fraction with some number divided by another number, we should try to maximize the numerator but minimize the denominator, and that's going to give us our biggest number. And also we have to take care of we have to be mindful of any positives or negatives here. So we don't want the whole thing to be a negative. That's not going to give us the greatest possible value. So we want, since the denominator is going to be, and here we notice that the denominator is x and x is negative. So that means we don't want the numerator to be positive, because what happens if the numerator is positive and the denominator is negative? We're going to end up with a negative number. So ideally, let's try to make it like a positive number, or at least we're going to try to make the numerator a negative number so that the negatives can cancel out. That's my first intuition here. So we can start by choosing a really small x. So why don't we let's pick a -2 to begin with, and then let's pick a really big but negative value for the top. So I feel like the biggest negative value we can get is if we do a -4 here for x. And then for the y, we can pick something small, like the +2, right? So this is gonna give us -4 + 2 is -2 divided by -2, which is gonna be 1. Now, let's take a look at the options here. So one is option A. They have somehow a -1 here, which is gonna be not the greatest value. This is not the greatest value, this is not the greatest value, and this is not. So it seems like the letter A being 1 is bigger than all of these values. So I think we're on the right track. I think if I didn't make any mistakes here, then that would be the right answer. So we picked this to be x, and we picked this to be y, and we picked this to be the other x. But oh wait, that doesn't work. Okay, that doesn't work. I messed up because we can't have x be like two different values. See, x can't be -4 and -2 at the same time. It has to be one or the other. So it has to be like both has to be -2. So either it has to be -2, 2, or x has to be -4, or it has to be this. Which one is going to give us the smaller number? So in this case, that just reduces to 0, right? This whole thing just reduces to 0. What about this whole thing? That's going to give us a -2 on top divided by a -4, which is equal to 1/2, right? -2, okay, let me just write it out. -2 divided by -4 is equal to 1/2. Okay, that's actually bigger. So that is actually bigger. Okay, so in the spirit of, yeah, in the spirit of creating two negative numbers, that's what we want, right? We want the top to be a negative number because the bottom has to be negative because we have no choice because of this range. We want the top to be as negative as possible because that's gonna give us the biggest number, right? So if the top is really negative and really big, like in magnitude, a big negative number, then that's going to end up with a bigger fraction that turns positive after the signs cancel out. So in order to do that, we want a y value, because y is positive, it's not contributing towards the negative. We want the y to be small, right? And we want the x to be a big negative. So that makes sense. That makes sense as the answer. Sorry for the messy solution, but sometimes you make mistakes on your first try, like I did, and you figure it out eventually. Thank you.